It's Coach Paluski. This is a video I started uh, last week for one of my fighting fish players, Anthony Tulare. Anthony is a very strong, powerful hitter from Riverview School District. He's a freshman. And of all the players that we have, to look at on film, the two that I liken to him most are Josh Donaldson in Toronto, and this guy here, Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber is a rookie last year, came up as a catcher, and played a lot of outfield for the Cubs just to get his bat into the lineup. So before I get into it, one of the things I wanted to highlight about this that can help everybody and not just Anthony is the concept of the load and good timing. You will often hear a lot of managers, coaches, and even batting coaches say that a batter needs to get his foot down in time. And what they mean by that is a lot of times when players are late to the baseball, they're late because their foot's not down. If their foot's not down, their swing doesn't start. Their swing doesn't start on time. They're late, and then they're pushing with their top hand, and their ankle and their wrists are not locked, and it creates a pop up. And part of that's true, but one of the things that I find in communicating with young players is not necessarily getting it's just how you relate to them and what they digest and can use. And sometimes you got to look at it a little bit backwards. And if you do, it tends to make more sense to the kids. Frankly, it should make more sense to us as adults too. And here's what I mean by that. I'll let this run a little bit, and I just want you to, take a notice of a couple of things here. I mean, what he's doing here right away is launching very quickly. I mean, what we see here is him getting his foot up well before that ball is even out of his hand. So what I like to tell kids is, instead of getting your foot down on time, you need to get it up in time. If it's not up in time, how the hell can you get it down in time? So timing's very important, and we call that anticipation. So, if you take notice of this pitch here, um, Schwarber's got his foot, in the air relatively early. Again, forgive me for the cursors. I'm awful at them, so let me clear that up. Sorry. That front foot, nope. That front foot has already started to lift here, and the pitcher still has the ball. Okay. So, this is a wonderful example of using that language to maybe better help a young hitter instead of, saying get your foot up on time. I'm sorry, instead of saying get your foot down on time, let them know that you need to get it up on time. And this is the anticipation part, of the swing. And if you have to break down swing the phases, this might be what many hitting coaches would say is phase one, and that's anticipation. So you'll have to see, timing the pitcher and when to get your heel up, your foot up rather, is a very important part of being successful hitting. So one of the things I'd like to highlight here is watch when that foot comes down, how late it is before it comes down, because again, that's when we start our swing. So let me clear that red cursor there and put a new one on. There's his heel starting to come down there, and look, the pitch is off the plate. And one of the things you'll see with batters that are very aggressive with high leg kicks and they fire their hips open early is you'll see a lot of pitchers try to pitch them away. And from what I remember, Schwarber was pitched away quite a bit. And here is an example of a player being pitched away because of what pitching coaches and batting coaches see from his swing. They might think that, okay, well, if he's going to dive into the ball, we'll try him off speed away, or we'll push the ball off the plate, and if his hips are in motion early, he's going to have a hard time catching up to that ball. And that's often backwards thinking as well, because if a player's diving into the ball, the place you might want to challenge him is inside with some gas, because it takes a very advanced hitter to be able to pinch to that ball, and that's something we've talked about in a couple of videos prior to this. But here's this pitcher challenging Schwarber away, and you're going to see, his heel come down here, and getting his hips in motion very early. And we'll see if I can illustrate that as I move this forward here. His hips are in motion right there. Okay, so even though his foot comes down late, before he starts his swing, his hips are in motion very early in that area right there, trying to highlight that. Okay, and some batting coaches will say, "Oh, you're pulling off, you're pulling off." Well, not exactly. He's preparing to launch the ball with extreme angular velocity. But because his pitch is outside, and look where the catcher is set up, because his pitch is outside, not only do we need, extreme angular velocity to hit that ball, we need, as I always say, great posture. So getting your hips in motion, he's got incredible posture over the ball. His head is inside his knees there. I mean, if I had to draw a line from head to knee, that's good posture over the ball right there. And, that's all product of getting your hips in motion. You're able to do that. So when that heel slams to the ground, that initial impulse to swing, he's trying to generate as much force as possible, as quickly as possible, before he moves to the ball. Okay, so he still hasn't really moved to the ball yet, even though his approach right here is gap to gap, and he's looking to drive the baseball in the middle of the field. Because that pitch is outside, he uses, good posture over the plate, and I talk about this all the time. This is what separates regular whippeal hitters or travel players from extremely good travel players. And this is one of the things Anthony does very well. And it's just, a natural thing that he's always done is get his head over the plate and hit with great posture. And you're going to watch Schwarber move to this ball on the outside here and drive it the other way for a home run. Okay, now, if that's not a picture of good posture hitting on two planes, okay, we always talk about this plane here, but then that plane there, okay, then, I don't know what is. That's just fantastic stuff right there. And, look at that great back knee drive he's got going on right there. And here's an example of just a hitter being able to cover the whole plate with good posture, okay, getting his foot up in time rather than down in time, because you can't get it down if you don't have it up. Then this anticipation part of the swing is very important. But this is the whole package here, and one of the reasons why Kyle had a really good year is him driving the ball. There's our classic ankle roll there. We like to see that. Here's another thing I'd like to take note of real quick. This guy is very slow. As I mentioned, he was in the outfield mostly because of his bat, but he's a catcher, okay? So he's not exactly fleet of foot. A lot of times people will say that they're running to first base after this fall. They're not falling over the plate. Well, that's a load of crap. I mean, this guy's clearly falling over the plate because of his momentum to that outside pitch. He's not running. In fact, he's probably going to walk because that's a home run. So that fall over the plate right there with that back foot is not a bad thing. And any coach that tells you that it is living in 1970, okay? That is what we have to do to compete against guys throwing 90 miles an hour. Okay, we have to make dynamic moves to the ball. We have to be athletic. We do not have to be balanced and straight up and down. And time again, you'll see batters do what I'm talking about as opposed to what your average travel ball or high school coach will be telling you to do. So there's Kyle Schwarber. This is for Anthony Tulare. I'm going to post another one after this that I started to work on last week. I'll finish that up now. Talking about how he'll take that same approach, only pinch and hit the ball on the inside. So there's Kyle Schwarber driving the ball the other way. Okay, getting his foot up in time right there. Foot's up. Good anticipation of when to slam the heel down right there. Very late. That's probably 20 feet away. He trusts his bat speed. He's going to make a dynamic move to the ball after early hip action. Then the dynamic move to the ball with posture over the plate. Follow through over the plate with the back foot. Okay? There's nothing balanced about that. That's a good athlete making a dynamic move on the ball, hitting with good posture on two planes. That's it.